What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about the top 5 squeeze stocks to add to your watch list for this upcoming week. So I'm going to go over all that, but first, you guys know the deal by now. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And with that, let's get right to it. So starting off with data points. So there's only 2 things to really watch for this upcoming week. GDP, which is coming out on Thursday, January the 25th. Forecast is about 1.8, and that's on a quarter by quarter basis. So if that does come in a little bit lower, then you're going to see a very swift sell-off, because similar to what happened out of China, their GDP didn't really hit their forecast, show signs of slowing, and that's not what the market does want right now. Similarly, on Friday, you do see PCE. So the Feds like to use that as a very good indicator against inflation rather than CPI, because food and energy skews CPI quite significantly. So the Feds are going to be really watching PCE on Friday. Aside from that, a lot of heavy hitters are going to be unveiling their earnings this upcoming week, such as Netflix, Tesla, a lot of financials such as American Express, Visa, and whatever. So definitely, I think this week is going to be crazy. And even with the S&P hitting an all-time high on Friday, you're going to have shorts on edge somewhat. So I'm going to go over all the things that you need to know. So I'm going to go over the 5 plus 1 bonus one that I do feel that definitely it's not the top 5, but it has some opportunity to squeeze as well. So again, I'm going to go over all of the things that you need to know, starting off with number 5, Fisker, ticker is FSR. Over the last 1 year, down 88.1%. Just in 2024, down 54.9%. So 2024 has not been its friend by any means. This is what they are all about, in case you do not know. And as you can kind of see, it did go up 6.42% after hours. That's because of the recent news that did come out after hours on Friday. And then aside from that, obviously it's going to be linked to Tesla. So when Tesla does unveil their earnings, they'll be directly correlated with most likely Fisker going up, down, sideways, all over the place. So that's just something to keep in mind. As well, I have been excluding any stocks that have done any recent reverse stock splits, because that does skew the numbers coming out from Ortex. So just kind of be cautious about that. 610.99 thousand shares have been increased on Friday. 54.34% of the free float is being shorted. 109.95 million shares overall are being shorted. It is currently on the threshold list, so that's a good indication that there is a lot of naked shorting that's happening behind the scenes. Cost to borrow average is 23.82, and roughly about, looks like 250,000 shares is available to be shorted through Interactive Brokers. So shorts don't really have all that ammunition, or that much ammunition. So this stock could be very, very interesting behind the scenes for this upcoming week, especially with the good news from it itself, and as well just Tesla. So kind of interesting. Let me know your thoughts on Fisker in the comments below. On a side note, if you are looking for a lot of good compiled information, such as press releases, SEC filings, transcripts from previous earnings, take a look at Seeking Alpha Premium for a 7-day free trial. Link in the description below and also the comments. Moving on to stock number 4, BMEA Fusion, ticker BMEA. Over the last 1 year, it is up 52.3%. Year to date, so for 2024, down 4.13%. This is what they are all about. So a biotech company, and looking right here, so going over here, so shorts did actually return 194.7 thousand shares. 50.81% of the free float is being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 2.32%, and then utilization is 82.12%. So, and as of right now, looking through Interactive Broker, short availability does indicate around 60,000 shares is available to be shorted. And that seems to be kind of the consensus over the last little bit. So once again, kind of interesting stuff. Could have a good squeeze. That one will probably be dictated more so by the data points rather than any company's earnings. Moving on to stock number 3, Cano Health, ticker is CANO. And overall, this stock has been slaughtered. So over the last 1 year, down 98.51%. 2024 in among itself, down 93%. This is what they are all about. So healthcare facilities. This company did do a reverse stock split, I do believe, right at the top right here. So they did one in November. So that wouldn't really skew the numbers for Ortex. So this is why it is technically on this list, despite having a reverse stock split in November. And as you can kind of see, they did a 1-for-100. So the fact that they did a 1-for-100 and it is at $2 right now, clearly you can tell that it's just been massacred once again. So right now, utilization is 73.77, short score is 80.24. On Friday, shorts did increase about 52,000 shares, 77.65% of the free float is being shorted, 555.13 thousand shares overall are being shorted, cost to borrow average is 40.66, and through Interactive Broker, short availability shows around 95,000 shares is available to be shorted. So I did have to double check this quite a few times just to make sure that this is correct. So 77.65%, very interesting. Moving on to stock number 2, that is RILY Financial. So this stock, oddly enough, I did see some recent news about it. It was more so, I think, the recipient of some financing or something like that. So that was kind of interesting, even though I don't see it on the news itself. But aside from that, on Friday, it went down 5.92%. Over the last 1 year, down 48.53. Year to date, so 2024, down 3.86. This is what they are all about. So under the investment banking and brokerage section or subsection, and utilization is 95.94, 71.06% of the free float is being shorted. Very high stuff. On Friday, shorts increased about 174.81 thousand shares, and 11.56 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 63.03%, and interesting to note, you do see cost to borrow minimum being negative 1.07%. And the way that works is brokers basically charge people to short. I'm sure you're kind of aware of that. But with it being negative, that does mean that there's a broker out there physically paying people to short. As backwards as that is, and even though short interest is at 71%, like, someone still wants to bring RILY Financial down for whatever reason. So something interesting to note. But moving on, through Interactive Broker, short availability does indicate around 150,000 shares is available to be shorted. Moving on to stock number 1. So this one has been number 1 for a while now. BOLO, ticker BOWL. On the 1 year, down 11.05%. Year to date, 13.63. And on Friday, it did go up 0.74%. This is what they are all about, leisure facilities. And this stock is actually very popular among retail. I see quite a few people talking about this, and that is because of the short interest. So right here, shorts did return 271,000 shares on Friday. 91.34% of the free float is being shorted. 19.02 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 15.67. And so I did have to double check this. I had to make sure that it did not do any recent reverse stock splits, and I double checked to make sure that the actual outstanding shares was correct, because that does influence the short interest. Everything, as far as I'm aware, unless there's some other aspect behind the scenes that I'm missing, like, this does seem to be legitimate at 91% short interest. That's crazy as that is. So moving on though, looking at right here, so about 20,000 shares is available to be shorted. So shorts are kind of out of ammunition somewhat. So if the data is very positive for this upcoming week, such as GDP and PCE, then this stock could have a very good run. My own opinion, of course. And then finally, moving on to the +1, SIRI, so ticker SIRI. On Friday, went up 1.12%. On the 1 year, down 6.39. Year to date, negative 0.91%. So very not much movement for that. This is what they are all about, in case you do not know. And this one I kind of picked, it was the highest short score. And so I used to go based on that, but there wasn't really any change. SIRI was always the top ones. And so on Friday, shorts returned 614,000 shares, 28.62% of the free float is being shorted, 178.66 million shares overall are being shorted, and cost to borrow average is 45.34%. So obviously, short score is 99.28. The higher the number, the higher the likelihood of a squeeze happening. And that is comprised by several things, one of which is just utilization, the number of shares being shorted, the cost to borrow, and everything as far as a percentage, or I guess as a number. So 99.28% is that short score. Through Interactive Broker, short availability does indicate around 45,000 shares is available to be shorted. So that's the +1. Let me know your thoughts on these companies. Is there any other stocks that you feel is a good squeeze and potentially which ones. Throw them in the comments below for people to kind of read. But over and above all of that, one final thing I just wanted to share with you: take advantage of this promo, brand new one starting on January the 15th. Simply sign up for an account with MULN MULN, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000, plus any cash that you do have, you're going to be earning 5.1% APY plus an extra 3%. That is an amazing deal. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.